Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, and welcome to the Partnering Success discussion from PTC and Onshape. My name is John Gray. I'm the DVP responsible for the PTC Partner Network here at PTC, and I'm excited to welcome you all today. The purpose of the call today is really to spend some time looking at partnering for success with PTC. Our audience here on the call with us today are our partners or net new partners who are interested in becoming net new partners of PTC, and more importantly, interested in becoming partners of Onshape, which is one of the newest acquisitions that PTC has done. So we're excited to welcome you here today. And I'm going to be joined shortly by our guest, but what I should do is maybe just introduce for you Onshape. Onshape was really founded by two pioneers really in the CAD industry, John McElhaney and Jon Hirschtick, who were also the founders over at Solidworks, and really decided off the back of Solidworks that their next venture was really going to be founding CAD in the cloud. So a pure multi-tenant CAD platform offering, if you like, that was acquired by PTC just over a year ago, and has really been a big success for PTC. And I'm excited to say that we launched Onshape into the channel about 4 to 5 months ago. And so the purpose of this is really to share with anyone out there who's interested in partnering, particularly around Onshape, really the value proposition and the reason why partnering for success is a strong value proposition when it comes to Onshape. So by way of introduction, Jon Hirschtick is well known in the industry, a founder, as I say, originally having been a senior leader within computer vision, also then a co-founder and CEO of Solidworks, and also then the co-founder and CEO over at Onshape. So welcome, John. Thank you for joining us today.
John, thanks for having me. My pleasure to be here.
Great. So, and just as I say, by way of introduction for myself, I run the channel business. I've been on board here at PTC a couple of years, and very excited to be working with John and the Onshape team in launching Onshape into the channel. So, question really for you, John, in terms of Onshape. What made you decide to really create and build Onshape? And maybe you can give us just a bit of the background and kind of the journey in terms of building Onshape as the pioneering offering in terms of CAD in the cloud.
Thanks, John. Well, the Onshape story starts with a look at the customers. I love visiting customers and end users, always have through my years at Solidworks and even computer vision before that. And when I would visit customers, I would see the problems they'd have and talk to me about over and over again. Problems with, as the complexity of the world grew and the way they were working in teams, distributed in multiple locations, ever more time pressure, ever more complexity, and change management being important. What I saw were basically two huge sets of problems. One is installing the software and provisioning and getting the hardware set up and the license codes and servers, getting everyone on the same version of the software. Who's everyone anyway? You know, teams change every day, and vendors and customers even getting involved, consultants and all that. And then I also saw the second basket of problems were around the collaboration and management of the data. The data was stored in files, as you know, not one file, tens of files, hundreds, thousands of files to make up a product design. And and each person needs their own copy of all those files to work. And no matter how you copy them, with Dropbox or using a PDM system. And you know, we're doing the best we can with those systems, but let's face it, locking, checkout, who's got the latest version, overriding each other's changes. It's really a lot of trouble. And customers will bombard me with these problems. And at the same time, I could see what was happening with cloud and web and mobile technology in this world. Companies like Workday, Salesforce, Zendesk, NetSuite, Google Docs, basically everything new was going to the cloud. And I saw I saw the opportunity at the intersection of that new technology and these problems. We could solve all these problems with provisioning software and sharing files, but we'd have to rebuild the whole tool set as a true cloud SaaS offering. That's the origin of Onshape.
Got it. And I have to believe that in the current environment we're in, where still many thousands of people are working remotely, I'm assuming that a lot of those files are sat on desktop workstations,
Yeah.
right, running on, I'll call it old technology like Solidworks, which it is kind of these days because it's not cloud-based. I'm assuming that now more than ever is kind of a call to action for looking at a cloud-based offering where they can collaborate, but they can also access it remotely.
You're right, John. Everything about COVID has driven the world our way for
Right,
cloud and collaboration, remote work, all those trends, whether it's in the commercial market or in the academic market. You know, COVID is a terrible thing, and we're very sorry about all the hurt it's caused for most everyone in the world. But it's been for the Onshape story momentum. I think it's been a real driving force, driving the world this way.
You bet, you bet. And just to be clear, Onshape is a full multi-tenant cloud-based offering, I believe, built on AWS. Is that correct?
Yes, we are. And I really want to make it clear, we're the only one in the industry.
That's what I
So
thought.
all the competitors will say they have cloud. They all say it, you know that. I mean, they all say it. And they use cloud in some ways. I mean, you can download SolidWorks from a cloud server. You can store the files in Dropbox. If you use solutions from Autodesk or Desktop, you're really doing that same kind of workflow, and it's semi-cloud, part cloud. Those aren't bad things. They're good things to do, but they're not what we're doing. We're doing something much bigger than that. We're the only full cloud, full SaaS solution in the industry, and thus the only one to deliver all those benefits.
Got it.
To the user.
Perfect.
We'll talk about those benefits. Yeah.
Okay. Fabulous. All right. Next slide, please. So, in terms of why Onshape for partners. So, as we talked about at the very beginning, the audience on the call today are partners, right? They're people that get up in the morning and they say, well, I have a choice today. I could go sell Onshape, or I could go sell Solidworks, or I could go sell something else. So, given that's the basis of kind of who's on the call today, why Onshape for partners? Why is this kind of attractive for them?
Well, Onshape is attractive for partners for several reasons. First is I don't have to tell the partners. It's a big market for CAD and data management. Those are the markets that Onshape addresses. We know there's a huge markets. SolidWorks is a huge business, and many other products out there, and so it's a really big market, but it has been really static for a long time. Like you can't get people to move. Generally, you're not able to get customers. I know in some cases a partner can really work hard and get a switch, between brands of CAD, but those SolidWorks users are pretty happy and stable. Well, the world's changing now. It's starting to change. It hasn't changed yet. If the change were done, there'd be no opportunity. If all the customers had moved, there wouldn't be any opportunity for you. The exciting thing is to think that we're on the brink of a big wave of change that could involve displacing SolidWorks in particular. Not that that's our goal, but that customer base has not had a powerful reason to switch. And now cloud gives them that reason. And in fact, at least 70% of our new sales are competitive displacements of SolidWorks in particular. Again, that's not our goal. We're not trying to do anything bad to SolidWorks or anyone else. We're trying to do something good for customers. And the goodness of what we're doing is being validated every day as even entrenched SolidWorks customers will switch to Onshape. And that's something we haven't seen happen in volume in this industry in a long time. I mean, there's a time where PTC switched customers to Pro Engineer, and SolidWorks switched a lot of customers to SolidWorks. And now we're starting to see that with Onshape, and not one or two, hundreds and hundreds of customers. And you'll see one in a few moments in the video. And DS is responding and saying, hey, well, we've got this 3D experience platform. Well, they don't. Okay, that's not what we're doing. It is not a full cloud solution. It is a sort of semi-cloud, cloud wash where the powerful parts of their system are still installed software and the cloud parts are not powerful. And it's sort of this Frankenstein's monster, not a very good solution. They're weak. We're strong. The opportunity is growing every day, and we think it's a great time for you as a partner. get into
So
it.
just to recap then, John, and thank you for that. That was a great kind of summary. You know, $4.5 billion market. Basically, you know, 70% of our new Onshape ACV is being driven by Solidworks, which kind of is a key indicator right there that customers are already looking at making that move over to kind of cloud and cloud, you know, SaaS CAD, if you like. You know, there's a tsunami happening, I would say as well, if you look at most enterprises and companies, which is called, you know, the adoption of cloud that is going on just across enterprises. You know, aside of CAD in particular, if you look at players like, you know, Amazon Web Services, AWS, or Azure, I mean, they're, I think last I looked, AWS is about 38 billion in ARR already in terms of the revenues they're driving from enterprises making that move to cloud. So, you know, there's kind of a bigger, I'll call it tsunami going on. And then underneath that, you've got organizations of these enterprises, you know, if you're a car manufacturer or what have you, where that move to cloud is sweeping across the organization, driving it as well. So, you know, one of the key words for me here would be disruption. There is massive disruption going on, but even better, you know, what you created, John, is the market leader in SaaS CAD. You know, SolidWorks, as you just talked about, really doesn't have a proper answer for it right now.
Yep. Yeah, you're right, John. And what's interesting, John, is so much of that cloud success, like you mentioned, AWS, Azure, they're all growing like crazy. So much of that is in places that a few years ago would have said, "Oh, we're never using the cloud here. You know, we're not going to move to the cloud." And if you've been around the industry a while, as I have for 4 decades now, okay, you know, you see people, you see the tsunamis come. You know, you see them, and they do unthinkable things. People told me 30 years ago, people told me, "Oh, with SolidWorks, people will never use PCs for CAD. That'll never happen." Well, look what happened. You know, it's all Windows now. And people laughed at me with Windows. And so with cloud, they said it would be impossible. Well, hey, industry, guess what? It's possible, and it's working great. We're winning a lot of customers. And what's exciting is the customers are better off for it. You know, you'll see in the video, our customers are
better off,
winning, you know, really winning big. And I'll talk about that in a moment.
Got it. Perfect. Next slide, please.
Yeah.
So, you know, we talked a bit there about, you know, the value proposition for partners at a high level, you know, what's going on at the customer end of things. And I know you've talked about some of this, but I think this goes a level deeper. And I think it'd be great to hear from you, you know, given the success that you've already had with Onshape, you know, one of the key drivers was clearly the disruption and the high growth aspect of this for PTC. You know, what's going on at the customer level?
So customers are winning big with Onshape because of all the gains they make in their use of us. So they don't just swap out one tool for another, they're in a better place. And I would say that the reasons we're winning and the biggest benefits I would summarize under 3 C's and a D: cost, cloud, collaboration, and data management. So first of all, cost is a big driver. Some customers just come to us because of cost. They're just trying to, and I mean TCO, it's not, you know, our subscription is lower than the others, but it's not just a subscription of the software. It's about the hardware and the time elements too. They don't want to buy new workstations. They may not want to use Windows computers for whatever reason. They don't want to think about hardware and drivers. They don't want to spend the labor to install things. And it's not just about the CAD software, it's about the data management software too. The costs involved, the extra servers and hardware and networks and VPNs and license code servers and blah, blah, blah. All that stuff is just cost. With us, you pay the subscription and then you run it on the computer you got, virtually zero admin time. Next thing is cloud. Cloud forward companies love Onshape, of course. And you're starting to see more and more companies, particularly startups and new divisions in companies, and just new people coming in, fresh people coming into companies. And they're like, I want everything to be cloud. It's not like the people I was talking about a moment ago, I want nothing to be cloud. I want everything to be cloud. They'll call us up and say, you know, this kind of customer, they're using Google Docs, they're using Asana, they're using MacBooks, they want to work on their iPad. They want a cloud solution, or at the youngest end of the market, they don't know anything except cloud solutions.
That's true.
If it's
Yes.
not a cloud solution, they don't even know.
Mm.
Next thing, collaboration. It's really about innovating through iteration and sharing information and the freedom for teams to work. And teams want to collaborate now in real time. They don't want to check things in and wait an hour, a day to get the latest version. That's too slow in today's world. You know, it used to be FedEx was fast, paper mail was slow, and FedEx was fast because it's overnight. Now, who wants to wait overnight? That's impossibly slow. So people want to have real-time visibility on what's going on for their whole team, no matter how many locations they're in. It drives innovation and it drives speed. Those are the reasons they want collaboration. Things get done faster, and they try more ideas than they would in a world of locked files and copying and checkout and all that. And finally, data management. We do the release management. We do the version control in Onshape. And many of you may not know we do that. We do all of that. It's all built in, but we don't need a separate PDM system. We don't need the servers. We don't need any of that. We win deals every day because customers have a big bill on their desk. They're a Solidworks user. They've gotten bigger. They have a quote on their desk for PDM Works Professional or whatever, Solidworks PDM Professional. And they say, I just don't want to do it. I don't want to pay for it. I don't want to administer it. And I don't want to deal with it in this locking checkout kind of world. And so those are the reasons we win and the benefits that customers are realizing right now.
Makes total sense. So if we could go to the next slide, please. So, you know, as we take a look at basically what's different about selling Onshape, if you can imagine, you know, we've got now already a good number of our partners that have already signed up to be Onshape partners. But if we kind of click down a level and take a look at, you know, what are the differences, right? I'm a partner, for example, and I've been selling Onshapes, or I've been selling Solidworks, or I've been selling PTC CAD Creo, for example, for years, which are on-prem. What are some of the differences, you know, that we would expect our partners to experience in selling Onshape? And arguably, what are some of the benefits of that? Well, for example, the sales cycle relative to an Onshape is really a lot faster than the CAD Creos of this world or the Solidworks of this world, in that often the deals are discovered and closed in the same month. So time to value, if you like, for the partner's customers, but also time to revenue is shorter typically in selling a SaaS-based, CAD-based offering like Onshape. And the customer trial process, which is of course online in terms of sign up, is simple and effective. You know, the other thing that a lot of people don't think about is that the switch for the customer also, typically most customers, as John alluded to with servers, we heard about the PDM server, for example, all of that is OpEx, right? As far as the customer, is CapEx. And so as they move to a SaaS-based model, they're typically moving to an OpEx versus CapEx model, which is actually better for the books relative to the customers. And for our partners, you're now going to be in a world of a subscription model in SaaS, which for our partners actually builds value, not only in terms of bookings, but also in margin over time. If you look at a typical subscription model in a partner world, particularly with SaaS, you are actually incrementally growing your bookings, but incrementally growing your margin over time. And one of the reasons for that is that actually renewals are far less painful in the SaaS world. Typically renewals can run up to 93, 94, 95, 96% in a SaaS world, which is of course good for our partners in doing renewals and retaining customers rather than churning customers. So it's more resistant to, you know, turbulent times similar to the one that we've been in over the last year in terms of building that bookings and revenue stream and growth over time, but maintaining margin and maintaining customers. The average deal size is around 2,500 to 3,000 in terms of ACC. So the cost of customer entry is low. It can start as simply as a credit card with the customer, but then develop and grow from there with new logos. And therefore it helps to make rapid adopters out of your prospect customers. And so the SaaS model represents opportunity to grow ARR for our partners far more quickly and far more effectively. The staffing model is actually different. We find that most of our partners and even our own sales organization selling Onshape is mostly an inside sales model. Think of it as having inside BDRs, but also AEs that largely are engaging with customers over the phone, not needing to get on planes. And so the cost of selling this for our partners can also be very cost effective in terms of that kind of selling model. The other thing is that SaaS, and this is fairly typical of a lot of SaaS companies, operates more in a monthly close cycle rather than a quarterly close cycle, which provides really for a constant revenue stream. You're not stacking up your deals to close them every 90 days. You're actually essentially bringing net new opportunities in and closing those net new opportunities typically within 30 to 45 days, which means that your monthly, I'll call it, and your monthly cycle brings a more constant revenue stream for our partners. Second to final thing is that digital marketing is incredibly important. So in the old days of selling more on-prem, you're doing more physical events and those kinds of things. What is really found to be way more effective is really a strategy that is digital, built around account-based marketing, oriented around things like LinkedIn and Google. And from a partnering point of view, we work closely with our partners to not only provide funding in the form of MDF, but also working to build a strategy with our partners around that. And then, of course, the other big upside you get from a SaaS-based model, unlike an on-prem model, is that we're not dropping off our stuff on the customer's driveway and saying, see you in a year's time for that support and maintenance renewal. We're actually saying we're switching on the service. And what that gives us the ability to do is to see what our customers are using, same for our partners as well. And it gives us the ability to basically understand if our customers are not using any of the licenses that we've sold them, and therefore how can we help? So customer success is absolutely king in a SaaS world. And so it's absolutely critical, but it means that because it's SaaS, you've got way more optics onto helping your customers be successful than ever before. All right, so with that, I think it would be good, John, if you're up for this, maybe you could give a brief introduction, but I know that we're gonna run a video. And, for me, use cases are critical. Why are customers buying Onshape? How are they using Onshape? What are the success stories? If I'm a partner that's listening, what are the kinds of things I'm selling into when I'm selling into a customer? So maybe you could talk a little bit about Cutsforth.
Yeah, well, John, delighted to share the Cutsforth story. They've been a great Onshape customer for a couple of years now, and they, you'll see, they make tooling and equipment for servicing power generation equipment. I mean, power generators like you'd have an electric utility, where downtime is big money, very sophisticated engineering, relatively smaller company, which is, I think this is like the representative type of customer that Solidworks built its business on. I know I was there, the size, the tone of it and everything. And this is a competitive displacement. They were using Solidworks and EPDM and they've stopped using it. And best of all, you'll hear them, I believe in this video, they're going to talk about their business goals and how they want to aspire to improve their business. And that's what made them think about, ripping out the old system, replacing it with something new. So I'm really, really excited to share their story with you.
Great. Let's play the video.
We love innovation here. I'm making something that doesn't exist. That's what we live for. If you don't like change, you're not going to be happy here. Because when something better comes along, we're going to try it. We make products for the power industry, brush holders, shaft grounding solutions.
Depending on the size of the generator that we're making parts for, any delay of 10 to 24 hours is going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we have a very small window in which we can get in there and do maintenance and install the parts that we design. If you start with a tool that's prone to errors and prone to delays, you're just going to have that ripple effect all the way down the stream.
I used SolidWorks for 15 years, and so I know CAD. The problem was my computer would crash a lot.
Our old PDM system required a lot of check-in, check-out, send for approval. We spent a lot of time managing that.
We're product development people, so we're not in the IT business.
We just want to work on parts and innovate new solutions. We don't want to deal with zeros and ones.
We believed in a cloud solution, getting out of the IT responsibilities of CAD.
We're coming from a vault size with over 15,000 files and 60 gigs of data that goes back 10 to 12 years.
There's a number of reasons that convinced us that Onshape was the right tool.
Finding out that we could use simpler computers and just have the CAD run in an internet browser, that's what really intrigued me at first.
How we chose to do it was to take one guy, have him go complete Onshape, and see what he thinks after just living in the world of Onshape for a few months.
I was the guinea pig and got to just take a first look at it and see what would be beneficial for our company. It didn't take very long before we were seeing, wow, this tool is really becoming useful. You get all these advantages of new technology where old CAD is just stuck in those limits.
I was really blown away at how simple it was, how everything can be funneled down into this one workspace.
In Onshape, there's much more freedom to focus in on what you're working on. You're not bogged down by the CAD. You're not limited by the CAD software. The CAD actually supports you instead of limiting you. There was one point where I had to go back and actually use the old software, and I was just so frustrated. I would never want to go back.
If you remove those distractions and you can just focus, to be able to just break down those walls and go beyond those limits, that's the glory of Onshape. That's a wonderful thing right there.
I'd say the reason we moved is we wanted to get better. We wanted to get faster. We wanted to be more efficient. I'm a big believer in if there's a way to get better, you do it.
Do what we do best, do what we enjoy, and create.
Wow, John, that was really good. I actually captured some of the comments because it kind of highlights some of the things that we've saying. But I mean, at the end of the day, this is about the customer, right? It's helping the customer be more successful, move faster, compete better, and have a more successful business. And I think the CEO summarized it well there by, we wanted to get better. But I loved some of the comments that I think really highlight why Onshape is the success that it is and why it's a disruptor, right? Which is, I wanted to run CAD and, really got excited about running CAD in the internet browser. Comment number one. I don't like check in and check out. There's that PDM, checks and balances, checking in, checking out, and all of those kinds of things. I don't want to deal in zeros and ones, right? They're not there to code. They're actually there to develop a product and make it successful against its competitions. And, we don't want old CAD. I love the guy's comment about, at one point he had to go back and try and use the old system and really found that a problem, right? He really felt like he was now being, conditioned and hemmed in and fenced in, having to go back and use the old system. So, ultimately breaking down walls, and we wanted to get better, right? They're running a business. They want to compete better. They want to move faster. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, that video just had it all. It's a great video to show here, and it's real. We've met this customer and we have thousands more like them. And you see the opportunity. I so agree with you, John, the success of the customer in building those products. And they were working on a new product now, which was on the drawing board when we first met them. Now it's on their website. They're selling it. It's a whole new line for them, these controllers and things. And so when you see that, you see it's all there. Also the complexity. You heard him say, even though they're a small company, he's got, thousands of parts. You saw some of that data management workflow was no joke with releases, versions, branching, merging. So small companies have deep needs. Sometimes we meet those needs. with the power of what we're doing. So anyway, super exciting, and let's go win a few thousand of these together with the partners, huh?
You bet. I'm excited. I every time I see something like that, again, it's all about the customer. So where we can disrupt, where we can bring on board new customers with our partners. I think we hit a record last quarter, which was the end of our financial year, which was 30% of PTC's business is now run through our partners, which is an all-time record. And we want to do that working with partners on Onshape. So, obviously, again, back to our audience here today is partners potentially interested in joining PTC. Any final words for, as we sit looking at CEOs of potential new partners, any final words for our partners?
I think the final words will be, look, there's a huge opportunity out there. People who are willing to move, just like the customers that are willing to move, leave their business to a better place. Partners that are willing to move will lead their business to a better place. It takes work. None of this is easy. John and I, we have a lot of work to do every day. You'll have a lot of work to do if you do this. It'll be hard work together, but the rewards will be there. And I look forward to working with you.
You bet. And for my part, for the partners out there, I sincerely invite you to contact me. If you want to reach out to me, I am jgray@ptc.com. Or if you just want to reach out to my team, that is channel@ptc.com. We'd love to talk to you in more detail about the opportunity to become an Onshape partner with PTC. It's a pretty exciting time. As I say, our partners are breaking new grounds, both in terms of reaching record bookings levels, but also in terms of just the overall share of the partner business here at PTC. So we'd love to bring you on board as part of the team. And please don't hesitate to reach out. With that, I'm going to close out. Thank you, John, so much for your time. Great, as always, talking to you. Really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John.